My goodness, guys, what a disastrous day for the stock market today. Let's just dive right into it. We had the S&P 500 close down about 2%. Same with the Dow Jones. We had the NASDAQ go down about 2.5%, and the Russell went down 3%. So in this video, we're going to break down the markets like we always do, and we have to break down some earnings, including Coinbase, Diamondback Energy, Caesars Entertainment. So let's just dive right into it. If you guys find value, hit that like button. Feel free to subscribe. And of course, get your free money from Moomoo and from Webull, up to 15 stocks from Moomoo, each up to $2,000, and up to 12 stocks from Webull. All of those are down below. And now let's just dive into it. And by the way, guys, this is actually my second time making this video. For some reason, I filmed the whole first video, or I filmed it the first time, and I went to upload it, and the video was just not there. So if you guys find value, please, please, please hit that like button. And now let's dive into it. So again, disastrous day across the board. We had the VIX up 14% on the day. And before we actually break down these markets, let's take a look at these earnings. We had a couple earnings that, I want to break down, starting off with Coinbase. Let me pull that up, ticker symbol COIN. And this stock, if you guys didn't know, has been doing very well. It was $30 a couple weeks ago, and now it's at $62. So it essentially has doubled up. And at one point, it was almost at $90. Talk about volatility. I mean, this thing went from 30 to 90, went back down to 53, shot back up to 73, and now we're at about $62 here after the bell. And you guys can see the volatility after the bell as well. When these numbers first came out, this, dumped down to 57, shot up to 66, and now, like I said, it's right around $62 per share. So let me take a look here and see what they ended up doing. If I remember correctly, they had a mixed, they had mixed earnings. Let's see here. They did negative $2.46 in Q4 EPS, which missed the negative $2.39, so they missed on EPS, but they did beat on revenue, $629 million versus $586.23 million estimated. So missed EPS, beat on revenue, mixed earnings there. And for Q4 total transaction revenue, they did about $322 million, which is down 12% quarter over quarter. And for consumer transaction revenue, that was at $309 million, down 11% quarter over quarter. And get this, guys, get this. This is going to blow your socks off. Or maybe not. I mean, it makes sense to me, and honestly, it's not that surprising, but look at this. 2022 total trading volumes and transaction revenues declined 50% and 66% year over year, respectively. Let me say that one more time. 2022 total trading volumes and transaction revenues declined 50 and 66 percentage points year over year, respectively. That is insane. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to tell you that when crypto is in a bear market, when Bitcoin's down a bunch, a lot of people lose faith, and well, they don't use the platform as much. They don't go and trade crypto as much. They're not as enthusiastic about it. And that's just the reality of the matter in the financial markets. You guys see that with Coinbase. You guys see that with brokerages like Robinhood in the stock market, right? A lot of people stop using Robinhood, or a lot of retail quit after the bubble popped of 2020, 2021. That's just the reality of the matter, guys. And I could tell you that firsthand, because back in 2020, 2021, YouTube views were a lot higher, right? And that's across the entire finance space. And now, I mean, it's not like they've come down drastically, because now, their short form content, it's a little bit different than it was a couple years ago, but it's different. At the same time, views have come down for, the long form content in the stock market, because let's be honest, a lot of retail got smoked, and we see that in the numbers here in Coinbase and Robinhood. A lot of retail just stopped using these platforms. That's just the reality of the matter here. And with that being said, on the flip side, total trading volume grew to $830 billion in 2022 from $193 billion in 2020. So trading volume is still, still grew, a good amount over the past couple of years, obviously. But if we're just looking year over year, not the best, like we just looked at for the total transaction volume. So Coinbase at this point, guys, we kind of have, let me see, is it a lopsided head and shoulders? Let me double check here. Yeah, it's kind of like a lopsided head and shoulders here. You guys see it. We have, the left shoulder right there, the head right here, boom. We have the right shoulder. You guys see that? So what are we going to do? I mean, what direction are we going to pick? Is Coinbase going to start taking out $72, which was the high from, about a week ago? Or is it going to maybe collapse under, $60, 55, which is right by the 180 SMA here, which that would not be good. So for the Bulls at least, and at that point the right shoulder would complete or start to complete at least. So right now it's kind of in a wedge as well. And also you could argue, let me show you guys this. We got the wedge right here, boom, right? And you could also argue we have a cup and handle on Coinbase. You guys see it right here, the cup, the handle, the cup, the handle. You guys see that? Let's see how it plays out. So that's Coinbase. We also have Diamondback Energy. Let me pull it up and show you guys what's going on here. They ended up doing $2.03 billion of revenue here, it looks like. I'm not sure what the estimate on that was, but EPS on an adjusted basis came in at $5.29, which beat the $5.22 estimate. So they did beat EPS. Revenue a little bit over $2 billion. Not sure if that beat. And let's see here. Anything else on guidance? Not seeing anything on guidance, but they did raise their dividend. That's good, to $3.20. So if you're in this and you're a dividend investor, kudos to you. I think another company here that we're going to talk about in a minute raised their dividend. We'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, Diamondback Energy at this point, I'm not looking at it really as a long-term investment, more as a trade. And if we do end up breaking over, let's say, where's my alert? 136? Yeah, I set that in my last video, my first attempt to filming this video, guys. So yeah, 136. If we end up taking that out, we start moving past, and you guys can see 136 was the low from earlier this month, which is now resistance. If we start moving past that point, we have a wide open gap to 140. Maybe we start going to 145, top of the wedge here, and that's where my next alert's at, 150 roughly, which you guys can see if I zoom in a little bit, that's been resistance for pretty much all year, all of this year for Diamondback Energy. So if it breaks 150, we break that wedge, there could be a lot more upside. In this one, we also had Caesars, guys. CZR is the ticker. Let's pull it up. We could see a clear ascending triangle on Caesars, which I did call out a couple videos ago. That has not played out yet, even with the earnings that just came out. And it looks like the stock is up a little bit after the bell here. Barely. It's up like 30 cents after the bell. So let me see here. They ended up doing 20 cents, negative 20 cents EPS, which missed the negative 17-cent estimate. And we have sales that came in at $2.82 billion, which beat the $2.8 billion estimated. So mixed earnings for Caesars. I'm not really seeing anything on guidance, but we do see B. Riley raise their price target for Caesars from $102 to $111, and they're maintaining a buy rating. Holy crap, I just realized that is a high price target considering it's at $51. So, I mean, yeah, B. Riley, they think it's going to double up from here at least, as again, they just raised their price target to $111 a share on Caesars. And to be honest, guys, I'm not too big of a fan of this stock chart right now until it breaks above 55, which it's not showing any signs that it wants to do that. Until then, I'm not going to touch it, but I do have my alert at $56. That's the beauty of alerts, guys. You can set your alerts, and you just got to be patient. Sit back and wait for the stock to make a move, and if it does, all right, you can potentially trade it, and if it doesn't make the move, on to the next one, right? On to the next one. So Caesars Entertainment, not too shabby. Realty Income, let's pull that up. Realty Income, this is one that you guys know. I own it. I've been owning this I've owned it on and off, honestly, for years. I first owned this probably like 5-6 years ago. Then I sold out of it. Then I rebought it about a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, probably a year and a half ago. Yeah, it was the beginning of last year, end of 2021. I was buying this. Buying it back, and I haven't bought it recently in the past couple months, but I did buy more on this drawdown here from 75 to 55. I was buying under $60, and now it's at a point where I'm just holding on to it, right? I'm just holding on to it, and last I checked, they did raise their dividend, which you guys know this company is, what's the nickname of this company? Like the monthly dividend payer or some crap like that? I forget what it is. But we've talked about Realty Income. It's a REIT, right? It's outperformed the S&P 500 since 1995. I believe the compounded annual returns. I'm not sure if that includes or excludes inflation. Is inflation counted? I'm not sure. But the compounded annual return, if I remember correctly, from 1995 is 15%. So the last 30 years, guys, Realty Income has done pretty well. So let's see what they did. They did revenue of almost $890 million on funds from operations of $1.05 a share, EPS of 36 cents a share, and they raised their dividend from, get ready for this, guys, 0.2485, so a little bit, a tad bit, a hair less than a quarter, to now a quarter and a half, which is 0.2545. So they raised it, whatever percentage points that is, like 5%, 3, I don't even know. Whatever that is, guys, they raised their dividend, which is great. Again, full disclosure, I own it, and I love seeing that dividend increase. And all I'm doing with this company, guys, is reinvesting my dividends. I'm not living off the dividends, right? I'm not going to be living off dividends for a while, guys, because that's not my strategy at this point. But in this case, for this company, it's one that I reinvest the dividends, and I'm going to continue to do that for years and years to come. So not too bad. Again, I own it as a long-term, and as a trade, I'm looking at it. Potentially, if it starts breaking out of this wedge, maybe not. I don't know. We'll see if it takes out, $65, $68, or well, it's already at 65. But if it takes 68 out where my alert's at, there could be a big breakout from there. We also had Toll Brothers report, and this one is up a little bit. Let me pull it up here on the intraday. Yeah, it's up about 2.5% after the bell, and you guys can see this chart looks pretty good. The uptrend's holding. It's looking pretty solid. If I pull the live news up, you're going to see they did $1.70 in EPS, which beat the $1.41. That's great. And they also beat on sales, $1.78 billion versus $1.73 billion estimated. So double beat for Toll Brothers, and they backed their what did they do? They backed their full year 23 EPS guidance of $8 to $9. And let's see here. What else? I swear I saw something else when I first filmed this video. Homes backlog. There it is. 7,700 homes in the backlog. And I saw something else. Where is it here? Oh, home backlog for Q1 down 32%. All right. We might have to dig deeper into that another time. But overall, that's not the best, and the stock is, again, it's up a little bit. Even though it went down, it essentially recovered all the losses from the intraday session here in the aftermarket hours, right? It went down 2.5% on the day. Now it's up 2.5% after the bell. So essentially, Toll Brothers is at break even here, which we'll see how it goes, guys. We'll see if it ends up bouncing, continuing the trend or falling under $54 a share, which is right by the 180 SMA. If that does break here on the 4-hour chart, that is not going to be good for the bulls. So I'm going to set my alert. Mark is at or below $54 a share. We also had Chesapeake Energy report today, which really isn't doing much in terms of the stock chart. It's still in a downtrend, as you guys can see. We are at a big support. That is one thing. We are at a big support at $76. We are seeing some buying pressure at that point, but it's not enough for me to get excited. And if we see here on the intraday chart, it's really not making much of a move. It's up about 2-3% here after the bell. So let me pull the live news up and see here. Oh my God, look at that. They did Q4 EPS of $4.22 versus $2.99 estimated. Man, what are these analysts on? I mean, gee, who's analyzing that? I mean, they were way off. $4.22 EPS versus the $2.99 estimate on revenue of $3.51 billion. And it says here they expect 2022 total expected CapEx of $1.76 to $1.83 billion. I'm not seeing anything else here on guidance. And again, I'm not a big fan of this chart, but if it starts to break, let's say, this is the big spot right here. Let me draw this line out. You guys are going to see it. If it starts to break above, let's say, $85, which was support in the beginning of January, now it's clearly resistance. If we start to get out of there, we could really start to make a move from that point, maybe towards 90, 92. That's where it could play within. Then if it breaks $92, we could see a full-on breakout. But of course, we're not there yet. We're not anywhere near that point quite yet. So those are 6 stocks, guys: Coinbase, Diamondback Energy, Caesars, Realty Income. Well, I guess Realty is not a stock. It's a real estate investment trust. Toll Brothers and Chesapeake and AMC, guys. Look at AMC. This thing went up 16% today, but we have a head and shoulders. Look at that. Left shoulder, the head, the right shoulder, and we're right by the neckline right now at 650. You guys got to be careful. If 650 fails, we fail to, break out of that point, which who knows what's going to happen. But if we fail there, we're most likely going to see that right shoulder play out. We have some downside from that point. We're going to have more downside. And, this thing could be back to the 5s like that, back to the 4s like that. But if we break that neckline, dare I say we break that neckline, there could be a lot more upside. We could get a squeeze out of that point. Mid 7s, 8s, who the heck knows where it's going to go. Now that I'm looking at this, earnings are coming up in a week from today. Next Tuesday, we have earnings for AMC, so I'm watching that very closely. And let's just quickly loop back to the markets before I wrap up this video. And by the way, guys, if you haven't checked out my Patreon and you want to join it, maybe try it out, feel free to check it out down below. I have a Patreon portfolio that I'm making. I'm making buys every single week, full transparency, right? And we're building that together as a Patreon community. If you want to check it out, link down below. There's also a Discord chat. I post charts in there all the time throughout the day. Check it out if you guys want to. Link down below on Patreon. And if we're looking here at SPY, guys, this is not very good in terms of what we're seeing. We're dumping under the 180 SMA. We're under $400. We arguably have a head and shoulders that is forming here. You guys can probably see that, right? And same thing with triple Q. It's not quite yet under the 180 SMA like SPY is, but it's right there, guys. If 290, if that breaks, that right shoulder could really start to play out. And, we might get a little short-term rally potentially before we see that downside, under 290 potentially, kind of like what we saw last week. If you guys pull up the 5-day, you're going to see, on Thursday we had a little rally before we dumped off into the close. Same thing with Friday. Well, actually, we dumped in the morning on Friday, then we rallied into the close. So we might get another little rally, maybe to 295. Well, it's kind of at 295 already, but maybe to 298. Then we dump from that point. On triple Q, maybe SPY sees a little bit of a rally to where's it at now? Maybe 404. Then we start to, continue the downtrend. We'll see. What do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And with that being said, I'm going to wrap it up. Hopefully this video uploads this time, guys, because I'm not going to film it a third time. I'm not going to do it a third time. So if you enjoyed it, if you actually saw this video, hit that like button. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Get up to 15 stocks from Moomoo, each up to $2,000, link down below, and up to 12 stocks from Webull with any amount deposited. And don't forget to check out the Patreon. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.